save the world. Take one.
Goodbye, Mom!
No, what am I saying?
What, this? It's nothing. Really, it's nothing, Ed. It's just, it's just vocal minority with Nick and Steve.
We're about ready to get this bitch started.
We are. It's really going to happen.
Yeah, it's time. We need to do it to save the world.
I don't know if we're ready. I don't think I can do it.
I'm about to get real angry. We need to start the show.
I put all my faith in your offering.
Give me a countdown, please.
You heard him, Samuel. Do it now.
A 1, a 2,
A 1, 2, 3, 4.
We found the groove. Have a good time. Make sure your seatbelts are fastened.
Okay, you little bastards. The time has come. The moment we've all been waiting for. It's the vocal minority with Nick and Steve Brewski. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's get this biatch started. Yeah?
Right, it's been long enough.
Yeah, it's the vocal minority with Nick and Steve Brewski, and welcome to the program. Thank you for finding this podcast. Download, tell a friend. You know what to do.
Exactly. Yeah, back at it, episode 100-something. Find us online, thevocalminority.net. You can find us on all the social medias. You can find us on YouTube and anywhere else that matters.
Yeah, many people have been finding us as of late. Well, I shouldn't say many people, but there have been a select few that we've taken great note of, right?
Oh.
Yeah, we talked a couple episodes ago about the fact we got a guy in Seattle that used to be a regular caller when this was a call and talk show back on the radio days. Yeah, so he discovered the show, and I've yet to ask him how he discovered it. I still need to do that. But he's back. He was a legitimate super fan back in the day, which creeped Nick out a little bit because, you know, you guys live in the same town, I guess. But
Didn't creep me out for that reason. All right, this guy's a champion. Let's make no mistake.
Champion!
Yeah. And this tells me, you know, we're getting back in the groove, and we just need the people to find us, and we're still doing our thing. So, yeah, somebody from Seattle has rediscovered us and reached out. But, Brewski, this week we got another super fan.
That's a fact.
It is a fact.
Oh.
A gentleman from Wichita, Kansas.
Ooh.
He rediscovered us and sent us some notes. Do you want me to? Should I read them? Or?
Yeah, read them, dude. At first, so we were on in Wichita, Kansas for the listening audience, and
Baltimore.
And Baltimore. This Wichita was near and dear to us because we started our syndication with this station, and boy, we had a couple of callers that, you know, crazy cripple. Like, we had a few people that called every week that were actually super fans, and we wondered, will they find us 16, 17 years later? And it seems like some of them are starting to find us, so that's cool.
It's funny because when we were bringing this podcast back, we had a brief debate of, do we still call it the vocal minority, which was what the radio show was called, or do we come up with some new name? And it was actually Nick's wife, Rachel, that said, you know, you guys had fans as the vocal minority. Some of them may recognize the name or be searching you out. And
yeah,
I kind of thought that was preposterous that 20 years later, someone would be searching for us. I mean,
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
It's not preposterous, dude. Yeah, it's happening.
So on our Facebook page, this is just in the last day or two, I get a note all of a sudden. It says, holy fuck, it's so amazing to hear what you guys have been up to. I wrote your website, but don't know if this is quicker. I am so thankful that you're back. I missed you all more than you know. I would talk about you all the time over the last 20 fucking years.
20 years? I mean, just let that sink in for a minute. Like, I talk about like serious shit like that. You know, like, you've heard me talking about Dave Matthews for the last 20 years, right? Not about the vocal minority or a radio show.
I was just having this chat with my son. I got recognized at a restaurant a few years ago. The waitress was like, wait a minute, you're the guy on the radio. And Crosby thought that was so amazing that anyone would know who I was. And I was trying to explain to him that fame is relative. someone who's a fan of our show, to them, all three of us are famous, quote unquote. We're on the radio or the podcast people.
Right.
To people that don't listen, they have no freaking clue who we are. So, fame is relative. So for Nick to make the example of Dave Matthews, I mean, that's very apropos, because Dave means something to you. He means nothing to Brewski. So
right.
Fame is relative, right?
Yeah.
Yep, that's for sure, dude.
So yeah, he follows up and he says, I told my wife about you guys a bunch and was searching YouTube to see if any of the old clips still exist, and I saw the new show. You guys were so nice to a 20-year-old stoner from Kansas and meant a lot to me. I felt cool and accepted when I really needed it.
Oof.
Like, we actually affected this man's life.
Yeah, dude. It is. Well, Steve sent the text and he was like, let that sink in for a minute, dude. And really, I sat and thought about it. I'm just like, this is just another way to show you that words, the way you treat people, the way you talk to people, and your words have a lot of power. They can be used positive or negative, dude. And the fact that we were able to make a 20-year-old that may have been struggling with certain things feel accepted when he needed that's pretty cool. Like, right. What'd you do today? Like, what have you done today?
It is sometimes so hard doing this sort of show, even on the radio, when people could call in like this guy, like you. That's still only the vocal minority. It's like 2% of the audience that will ever call in. So
right.
Sometimes you wonder, like, am I just wasting my breath with all of these things? Is anyone listening? Is anyone taking this hard? Like, anyone find it entertaining, funny? And then you get an email and text like this. And he's been catching up on our shows, and he sent me a message saying that he's been through some shit in his life in the last 20 years. And he said, hearing all you guys talk about what you've been through is inspiring.
Oh,
that's nice to say.
I mean, that's some heavy stuff right there.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, it's nice to hear. And, I love to be that. I love to be that person, dude, to be honest with you. I think it's cool as shit, because when we got together and developed this show, we said, we just want this to be a show where people are listening in on a couple of friends having a conversation that they can relate to, or maybe not relate to, but get mad about or whatever. But it should be personal like that. So to know that it's received that way is pretty great, right?
Right. I mean, my previous relationship, I got into actual argument with Dottie about, she's like, why do you have to tell all these personal stories? And I said, that is how you connect with the audience. Anyone can tell the news of the day going on, but when you intertwine your personal stories, or when you confess about, a bad breakup, a medical issue, whatever it is, like, that is how you endear yourself to the audience. So we are doing it by design, and also feels good on our end, by the way. But yeah, this is what we're trying to do, to be real and to be honest with the audience. And to think that somebody 20 years ago is still thinking about us and sought us out. And he's started over. I mean, he's on episode 3 right now. He wants to hear it all, just like the Seattle superfan. I mean, that is some humbling shit. And awesome. It reminds me that we're doing something correct here, people. Like, we've got 2 of these superfans that have reemerged. It's just going to keep going.
Yes, dude, we're saving the world. I mean, let's be honest. Okay.
I will say that I haven't been on the show since you guys started it. I came in a couple of producers in. The reason why I have always enjoyed being on this show is the fact that we keep it real. We are who we are. Well, what you hear on the radio or whatever on the podcast, that's who we are. There are some shows out there who create this whole false narrative of what the show actually is. Right. And they have people that play parts and all that sort of thing. You guys have never asked me to do that at all.
Right. Well, for better or for worse, right? I mean, that's life, right? We don't get to. Yeah, otherwise, look at social media. If you want to see just the good stuff, like, just look at people's social media. But if you want real, then, you could tune into our podcast.
Yeah, it's the good and the bad. I mean, we've had legitimate arguments on the show. We've had hilarious moments where I'm just, peeing in my pants because I'm laughing so hard. I've gotten migraines before from laughing, like where my head starts throbbing. And yeah, it's because we're keeping it real. Now, the unreal part, quote unquote, is that we drop the filter like you would in normal society, just sitting around talking to people. But that's the fun of it. We just, we tell real stories and we keep it honest. And, you may not like some of our opinions, but I'll stand by them because I believe in it. I'm not just saying it to say it. So
just it's our life experience up to this point. All right. For whatever it may be worth to you, just take it. All right. Yeah. I read an article maybe, I don't know, like a year ago that was talking about one of the reasons that terrestrial radio sticks around is based off people's loneliness. Like the radio steps in and brings a friend into a living room of a lonely person, and that loneliness that people have will never go away. Yep. And of course it's being duplicated with podcasts, stuff like that, but the radio will never go away. Everyone has access to it, right?
It's morphing, you're correct. But yeah, the one-on-one experience will not die.
We used to, early in our career, talk to people on request lines late at night when we worked overnight shifts. And a lot of them were crazy or even institutionalized, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And
mental or prisons, yes.
Right. Yeah. I used to get people to tell me like, oh, don't you think you're taking advantage of those people, like laughing at them? No, I don't. First of all, I've become a friend to this person. And there was a lady named Connie Dahl, dude, that adored me, okay? She was in a mental institution. She was crazy, but she called me every night and I talked to her like she was a human being. And did I laugh at her sometimes when she did funny shit? Sure. But like, there's no substitute for talking to somebody and being a friend or saying, what that person's going through and acknowledging that. Like, that's cool that he wrote in and told you all that, because most of the time listeners won't get that frank with you and be like, yo, this is what you did for me.
It is where the term the vocal minority came from, that it's a well-known fact in the world of radio that only 2% of the audience will ever pick up a phone and call a radio station. So you've got to extrapolate from that, what those 2% are saying. There's another 98% that are on some level of that spectrum. There are other super fans out there that will never contact us. We've had a guy in Wichita listening since the first episode. He has yet to come forward. No matter how many times we've asked this person to tell us who you are, how'd you find it? He's listened to every episode, but he's never come forward.
Never. And there's something great about that. I'm almost glad he doesn't come forward, dude.
Right.
I know you're out there, pal.
It's a broadcasting principle that you're talking to the masses, but that's not how you address people. It's a one-on-one experience on their end. So you just want to talk to one person, even though there might be 20 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 people listening. You just talk to people one-on-one.
When the three of us got into radio, I know all our instructors or mentors did this. Oh, hey, when you're on the radio, hey, put this picture up of, this person that you're talking to so you can get that relationship going as a one-on-one thing. That's what it's all about, really.
Yeah, we had a DJ in Seattle that had a mannequin head that he would sit on the console and just talk to the mannequin head. It certainly looked creepy, but that's how he was able to, envision that in his head. So.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, I had a guy's show in Seattle that I produced at the sports station, and I used to like to keep my lights dim in my studio where the control board was, because it's 6 a.m. I've been up since 3:30. I don't want to have bright lights on or anything like that. But he would hit the talkback button and he'd be like, can you turn your lights up a little bit? I want to be able to look through the glass and see you, so that when I'm talking, I at least have someone that I'm looking at.
Right.
And he, and so same thing,
That's what's easy, quote unquote, about this show, is that we are actually friends. So we all just can sit here and talk to each other like we normally would. There was a show, the episode where the bat chased me out of the studio. I thought it was so great. And we included this in the podcast, go search it out. But we did the actual podcast, and then I got run out of the studio by the bat, and we technically stopped the show. You guys signed off, but the tape was still rolling. So then I came back in the studio at some point, or I was on the phone with you guys. And there is no difference between us three talking off air after we thought the show was done and the way we talk on air.
That's true, dude.
I put that all in that podcast that's on all the websites. So yeah, you can kind of see that it doesn't matter if we think we're on air or not. This is just how we are.
Yeah. No, 100%. So, yeah, definitely cool to hear. Now, you're a part of this podcast, so welcome to it. The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve, Alla Brewski. You can communicate with this show, too. We have a webpage, thevocalminority.net, and find our social medias right there.
Yep, find our social medias and the website. Unless you're a woman I'm about to start dating, then please don't,
Steve's making great strides in what he's doing here.
Yes, I am trying. And, last dating round, I put the entire dating world thing out there, and it mildly backfired. Apparently, women don't like to be marginalized and treated like contestants on a, game
on
show.
A game show, being referred to as number 1, number 2, or number 3. Yeah.
Baby, you made it to the top 3. What else do you want?
I remember at one time, dude, that when you were dating a girl and seeing her maybe once or twice a week, and you were still having 1, 2, and 3, and she was like, "Am I still in the top?" She asked you, "Am I still in the top 3?"
Yes.
Oh,
and then
that's
of
terrible.
course, eventually, I met others in the top 3 and liked one of them better. And then I had to tell this woman, like, "Yeah, I did meet the rest of the top 3, and you and I are going to be done right now. I'm very sorry for that."
So it's brutal. That dating world is brutal. Every time Steve sends me something, by the way, on dating, if I'm sitting there on the couch, maybe Rachel and I are watching TV, like she'll see me on my phone doing something and just know what my face looks like. She'll like, "What's so funny?" or "What's wrong?" I'll say, "Oh, I'm just hearing about Steve's dating." And, I'll tell her like, "Here's this girl from, Tahoe, blah, blah, blah." She'll be like, "Oh, thank you for marrying me so I don't have to go through this. Like you should feel really lucky we don't have to go through this." And I do, dude. It's
Amen.
tough for you guys.
Yes. I'm glad you guys are taking that from this. Like, I enjoy sharing this stuff with you because I need someone to have my back as I go through this crazy adventure. But dating absolutely effing sucks. I don't want to have to be doing this, but I have no choice. So, yeah, I hope every time I message you about one of these women, you're just like, take that little bit extra care of Rachel.
Yeah,
just solidify that a little more.
Right, dude. Yeah. No, for sure.
It is not fun. There's a fun element, I guess, to this, but not really. It sucks.
One of the girls that Steve is kind of matched up with, at least to have conversations with, not met yet, but she is a Christian. And if you listen to the podcast, then you know that Steve is, what do you consider yourself, agnostic or what?
I would say staunchly agnostic / verbally berating towards most religions. So,
right. Yeah.
I mentioned that we have real discussions on the show and we've gotten in some real fights, and 9 out of 10 of them seem to, center around religion because I have some pretty strongly held views on the topic. And, in real life, am I going around Starbucks, spouting this stuff? No. But here on the show, yeah, I let it fly. And, we've had some good debates and arguments and everything else, but it's set up a dangerous precedent in my real life right now where, yeah, I met this woman who is in my little small town. Never in my last 4 years of dating have I met someone in this town. And she's checks all the boxes, right age range. She's a mother, but her kids are older. She's, really good looking, but she's a Christian.
Goes to church every Sunday, Christian. So.
Yes. And what sort of church? It's the one where they sing, not Pentecostal or whatever, but Christian Fellowship. That's what it is.
Yeah, it's fellowship, dude. They sit in the crowd with their hands raised.
So she's a music fan. So that's cool. I look at that. No, I just hate that I've met a woman who checks all these boxes, but then I'm like, fuck, she's religious. And I hate that. I told Nick, add this to the list of stuff that religion has screwed up in my life. Like, now I've got a woman I'm actually interested in, but religion. Like, the only thing worse would being a Trump supporter. But what is her definition of what is a sin? What is her definition? Is she okay with gay people getting married? Is she going to judge me if I'm smoking pot? Like, what level of religion? Because there is a lot of different levels. You two being a phenomenal example of it. You guys
Steve
both have
decided,
Catholicism, but you're not preaching at me.
Yeah, Steve decided that there is a level of religion that he can deal with in a relationship, so he's going to see where things go. But you brought up the fact that you need to learn certain things about her, as far as like, is it okay for gay people to get married? Are you just an asshole, or are you religious on some level?
Yeah.
Is it a pipe dream for me to think this woman will be like, you can sin all you want? Like, I'm going to go to church Sundays. Like, I'm not going to judge you. That sounds funny to me. Just saying it out loud. A religious person not judging me just sounds preposterous.
Yeah, you'll have to see what it is, dude. Let me tell you this. My thought is that I like where you're going. I like you're gonna, inspect a little bit here, but it will not come without some. If it works, it will not come without some hardships at some point in time. So I would recommend knowing how you're going to talk about those things. If you could talk about them, dude, and have conversation back and forth, then I think you could be okay.
Yeah. Why is it implied that I have to bend to her beliefs? Is there no
It's
chance
not.
that I could convince this woman otherwise?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure there is. Yeah. No, I think there could be, depending how strong she is, involved in religion. Some people are just staunch. The Bible says this is what I'm going to do. Right. That seems to be fading in America in a lot of respects. There are different colors of the religious rainbow.
Yes.
But yeah.
And how verbose are you about it? Do you talk about it? Do you judge people? Do you push it out? Do you invite them to church? Blah, 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 blah. I don't remember what comedian it was, but I told Nick recently that this is his joke, that religion is like a dick. It's fine if you have one, just don't wave it in my face.
Right.
And I think that's true. Like if it's something that you do, you're like, fine, but don't start judging me and preaching at me, so. Who knows?
But you brought up with me that you used to have a girlfriend years ago that had some sort of antique family relic that had some religious overtones to it in your house, and you didn't want to see it every day. So it's just like little stuff that you would have to work out with her to respect each other.
Each other, yeah. It's funny. I swear to God, I must have been abused in a church in a past life. And I don't necessarily mean sexually. Maybe I was burned on the cross or drowned in the river because I was a witch or something. I don't know what it is. But when I walk into a church, the stained glass artwork, the architecture of a church, it just brings some deep down, like I just feel uncomfortable immediately.
It's God telling you to get your soul right. That's what Catholic guilt, dude. We all feel that a little bit.
Right. And yeah, an ex of mine had a Catholic candle thing. What are those freaking candles? I don't even know. What are those things about?
Well, I don't know what it was.
It was one of the saints on those glass candle things. They were supposed to light the candle or whatever.
Yeah, that's she had it for I thought it was like an old family member. So
her grandpa gave it to her or something, so she kept it around. But I told her, like, can you put that in a deep dark corner, like just the stain, because it had the stained glass thing on it. It just something just deep in me just is disturbed by it.
Catholic people light candles sometimes when people die, we'll light a candle.
Yeah.
But if we're going to say a prayer, like there's a spot in the church that holds, maybe 40 votives that you can walk up to, and it's got a little pedestal to kneel on. You light a candle. If my dad died, I would light a candle and then sit down and pray as the candle's burning, Could have been something like that, but it's a lot.
If no one's dead, put the candle away. I mean, come on.
Well, but there are also candles that are dedicated to particular saints that you might light the candle for. Much like a St. Christopher medal, a lot of cops carry those.
Yeah. Nikki has one on right now, dude. Come on. Oh. Hey, look, I haven't had this necklace off for over 15 years. I mean, I haven't taken it off except to get an MRI, something like that.
And this is my point. We all are simpatico. Do we have some debate/arguments? Yeah. But are we all still BFFs after? Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the girls I dated last year, the Valley girl, who I told you guys, I mean, we partied like, I told you the New Year's Eve story. I felt like Jim Morrison. Bottle of tequila in one hand and taking bong hits and banging all night. She went to church every Sunday. That was just fine. So, we'll
ask for forgiveness.
Yeah, probably.
Hey, listen, whatever works for you.
That's right, dude. That's what it is. Whatever works for you.
But it brings us the topic of, like, what is the sin or not? And Nick brought up an interesting list that I thought we should talk about.
These are just a compilation of acts that are condemned by society, but not explicitly labeled as sins in the Bible. Okay.
Okay.
So this is what Steve always talks about. Am I morally a good person? Do I keep my contracts with society that I shouldn't kill people, that I shouldn't do bad shit? Right. Yes. So a lot of those, you get rid of them. I mean, that's what sin is. It's those moral contracts we make with each other to live in a healthy society, right?
Yes. I will tell you, I remember in Seattle once, I debated religion with people all the time on the overnights, like you were saying, taking calls off the air. And there was this one guy I was debating, and I started to realize the only reason this guy was not raping and robbing and murdering was because he had a fear of God. And I told him, you know what, dude? You're right. Jesus is real. God is real. If that's what you need to not be a terrible person, then oof, that scares me, but okay. Most of us just have a moral compass because we were raised in a, society. But I've explained to my kids that is why religion started. Think about it. Yeah. A long time ago, we were all living in unruly masses and little villages, and the strong would take from the weak. I want your wife, I want your food, like they would just take. And we had to teach them, like, you can't just rob and rape. Well, why not? I can do it. I'm stronger than you. Well, because there's this afterlife. There's a heaven and there's a hell. They had to instill a moral compass in people when there was none, because society wasn't advanced enough to be teaching morals from the ground up.
It wasn't civilized, dude. I mean, It was not.
So if that's what you need to not be raping people, then fine. Yes, Jesus is real. All is good.
The biggest hypocrisy in religion shocks me because I think that it is judgment of others who don't think exactly like you do. When one of the tenets of religion is to not judge other people, right? But we can judge if, they're not religious like us, supposedly.
God will judge you, not anyone else.
That's right.
Is it a coincidence? The top 10 list, the 10 commandments is pretty much, don't fuck my wife, don't steal my stuff, don't eat all the food. Like in civilized society, those were your concerns. Don't eat all the food, don't screw my wife, don't murder me.
Right. Yeah, no, we had to set something up. So
in modern society, yes. Tell me, what are some of our moral compass issues that the Bible somehow skipped over?
The Bible has often been invoked as the ultimate moral authority in numerous debates, and its importance to recognize that its teachings have been shaped and inspired by historical and cultural factors. Here is the list that we as a society have created. Celebrating birthdays. Okay. You ready?
What? Yeah.
The Bible.
Is that on the list? That is.
Yeah.
Yes. Celebrating birthdays? What?
That's right.
Well, I will say that Jehovah's Witnesses do not celebrate birthdays. Right. Growing up, we had some Jehovah's Witnesses kids at our school, and that was one thing is that they, on top of not celebrating Christmas, they also didn't celebrate birthdays.
Yes. Every holiday, every birthday, this one kid in my class had to go to the library for an hour while the rest of us, passed around cupcakes for Tommy's birthday.
Right. Okay. Well, celebrating birthdays, dude. The Bible does mention birthday celebration in a neutral context. But as far as us celebrating it here, there's no reason that we do it. There's no clear moral directive associated with the act of celebrating birthdays itself.
I'm sorry. What is Christmas about, according to the religious origins? Isn't that somebody's birthday that day?
Well, I mean, you know what? That's another fake thing. Like if you believe in the story of Jesus, that's not Jesus's actual birthday.
No,
I've heard that is true. Yes. Yeah. However, we don't actually know if there was a dude that called himself Jesus, because the first writings of that guy were 100 years later. Like, there's no way to prove that Jesus was an actual guy. Whether he was the son of God or not is obviously a separate case, but it's highly debatable if there was actually a prophet running around calling himself Jesus or not. But I'm just saying, like, Christmas is celebrating the birth of Christ, so isn't that celebrating a birthday?
Yeah. No, I get the hypocrisy in it all. All right, let's see what this one says. How about...
Wait a minute, what are we saying? Society has... I'm so lost. So the Bible said, I thought we were saying things that society has deemed as a sin, but the Bible did not.
Condemned by a religious society, but the Bible doesn't say anything about it.
I see. Okay.
There's strong argument that the Bible doesn't even actually talk about it. Like we heard, I played a pastor for you guys last week that was talking, and he was like, Bible doesn't even talk about Jesus's views on being gay. But the Bible is so easy to cherry pick and interpret, because all the Bible is an interpretation time and time again of people, reading this old book, New Testament, Old Testament,
it's been rewritten by humans that the Bible teaches us are inherently flawed.
All right. How about, do not cut your bodies for the dead or put tattoo marks on yourselves. who might be addressing mourning rites or practices rather than the decorative tattoos of today. It's essentially to contextualize ancient directives. What about tattoos? Not in the Bible, but religious people, for a long time anyway, have said, like, hey, don't do this.
Brewski, you're a sinner. What do you think about that? You got tattoos all over you.
Yeah, but the thing about it, though, is that I've only ever heard Jewish people say that they weren't allowed to get tattooed because that's in the Torah, and also it's in the Old Testament, maybe, about Mark, which comes from the Torah, which talks about tattoos on the body and that sort of thing. So I've never heard anybody, Christian or Catholic, saying that tattoos were forbidden.
That's a great point of just saying how you can interpret things, because I guess I could just say, you know what, you're not supposed to ruin your temple, Brewski. So tattoos are bad. I can interpret it, I guess, any way I want to.
I'm just redecorating it. That's all.
Yeah, right. Yeah. No.
Why is God such a buzzkill? I can't have tattoos. I can't have premarital sex. Like,
I don't know that God's a buzzkill, dude.
Shouldn't be drinking.
I think that. I mean, Jesus is the dude turning water into wine. I mean, come on. What are you talking about? We shouldn't be drinking.
Yes.
Well, I mean, and they also haven't hung out with Boston Catholics, because I'll tell you what, Boston Catholics will drink anybody under the table.
There you go, dude. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, if all of this is true, what sounds like more fun, heaven or hell? I mean, hell sounds like more fun, right?
Well, think about it this way, dude, because this is, I'll ask you to think about it this way, because it's only how I think about it. But hey, a night of partying is so much fun, but then that next day of just headache, hell, and body crush, I'm trying to keep from that day. So if I just moderately have a party and I still feel good the next day, I don't want to go sit in hell for eternity. All right. I don't want to be there forever.
It's like Brewski saying that, some religious types think that oral and anal sex is not sex. So, hey, we can do that.
Well, it's like the Mormons and soaking, dude. You're not, the Mormons soak, which is crazy to me that they think, if another guy's jumping on the bed making my Peter pump, that, I'm not doing anything wrong.
Yes. I have long held, if my dick is inside of a woman, it's sex.
No matter the orifice.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
even a back fat roll, like Brewski was talking about last episode. Flesh is surrounding my flesh, then it's sex, people.
How about the art of playing cards? All right. The issue some religious groups have is not with the cards themselves, but with the potential association with gambling, which can lead to destructive behaviors. The Bible warns against the love of money, but doesn't mention card games.
I can't gamble. I can't have tattoos. Like, why is there no fun in the Bible? Why?
But even in the Quran, that they actually say that gambling is forbidden, and also you can't have playing cards. You're not supposed to be able to smoke. Can't drink alcohol.
Although the Quran, I think, properly incentivizes you, because don't you get 99 virgins when you go to heaven?
But you know what, though? I don't want a virgin, let alone 99 virgins. Have you ever taken someone's virginity?
I don't think so, no.
I have, and you know what? They follow you around like crazy. It's like herpes. You can't get rid of them. They just latch on, and they won't let you go.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
And on top of that, they don't know what they're doing. And you got to tell them what to do. And then even then it's like half-assed and not doing a good job.
This is why Billie Eilish is the modern day prophet. All the good girls go to hell. If they're doing it right, they're going to go to hell. And that's why I don't be with the good girls, not the inept virgins up in heaven. These are good points you're making.
I'm all set with no virgins.
Yes. Okay.
How could you even tolerate the next one? Dancing is on the list here. David's dance before the ark in 2 Samuel was an act of worship. However, it's worth nothing that certain dances might be considered inappropriate if they provide lust or other negative feelings. Why else are we dancing, dude? I mean, aren't we dancing to spread joy and to maybe have a little sexy time, move with somebody one-on-one? You know what I mean?
Listen, this goes back to my Jenna Ortega argument that when she did the Wesley Adams dance, and I got admonished for saying it was sexy. Dancing is inherently sexy. It's supposed to be. I mean, it's rhythmic movement based on, the music, and dancing exudes sexuality to me.
Right.
So, yeah, I guess that's why, the Bible might frown on it. But if you're doing it right, it's a good thing. I've gotten sucked into some TikTok videos from this dance groups that they're always dancing the Bee Gees and stuff. But there's this one blonde in there that, damn, I mean, the way she dances, it's just freaking sexy.
You remember, let's roll back to 1984.
Ren McCormick.
When Mr. Kevin Bacon, a.k.a. Ren McCormick, gave his speech.
I think Mr. McCormick has a right to be heard.
From the oldest of times, people danced for a number of reasons. They danced in prayer, or so that their crops would be plentiful, or so their hunt would be good. And they danced to stay physically fit and show their community spirit. And they danced to celebrate. That is the dancing that we're talking about. Aren't we told in Psalm 149, praise ye the Lord. Sing unto the Lord a new song. Let them praise his name in the dance. Amen. Amen. And it was King David who we read about in Samuel. And what did David do? What did David do? What did David do? David danced before the Lord with all his might. Leaping and dancing before the Lord. Leaping and dancing.
Ren McCormick goes back and quotes all these Bible scriptures because, we want to dance. This is what we were made to do. We're sexual. We're human. We're beings. Come on, we got to dance, dude.
I feel like this list of the reasons not to be religious, because society is okay with everything we've listed so far, but somehow the Bible is trying to guilt trip everyone into not doing these things.
Do you know anyone like this?
Maybe the girl I'm about to go on a date with, she might say, Brewski, do you know people that say tattoos are bad, dancing's bad?
No, but I mean, you get some religious folks that will warn you against drinking or gambling and that sort of thing. But, usually you're just like, okay, whatever, Buzz Killington, we'll see you later,
Exactly.
Well, these are very extreme. Like even this next one seems to be more Amish to me than anything because it's watching movies or TV. All right,
don't fuck a horse,
right, dude. That's not in there. But focusing on pure and commendable things can apply to a modern media choice. The form of entertainment isn't the issue, but the content and its influence might be.
There's a huge difference between fantasy and reality. So I think it's okay to watch scary movies or Dateline serial killer stuff. We can't just live in a bubble.
I can't have you taking away my episodes of Barney Miller. I just can't have that happening.
No, we don't want to try and do that to you, Brewski. You're safe. How about this is a good one to think about, celebrating non-Christian holidays. Romans suggested that individuals decide for themselves which days to honor. Respecting cultural celebrations is different from endorsing any associated religious practices. So, it is always funny to me this year at, let me see how I can put this. This year at a friend of mine's work, okay, they wanted to put a Christmas tree. My friend had a Christmas tree and they were like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'll bring it to work so the office can enjoy it. Somebody in that office caught wind of it and was like, that's religious. I don't want a Christmas tree in here. And this is what I'm talking about. Do you celebrate non-Christian holidays? Are you staunch about it? First of all, when I see a Christmas tree, dude, I don't think of religion for the most part. That's just mass marketing Santa,
Right. I've had people say, if you're not religious, you're agnostic, why do you celebrate Christmas? Because to me, Christmas is about Santa Claus and reindeer. It's not about the birth of Jesus. Same with Easter. It's about Easter bunny and hunting for Easter eggs. It's got nothing to do with resurrecting some god. Like
you do know where that comes from, don't you?
What?
Easter actually. So there's actually a pagan holiday in the spring that actually is celebrating a goddess named Esther, Eostre. She's the goddess of fertility.
Mm.
So if you think about it, bringing new life, and then where do Easter bunnies come from? Well, what are rabbits known for?
Banging
and
rabbits.
And then also eggs.
Yeah.
I think for Easter eggs, it's fertility. That's where it all comes from, a pagan holiday celebrating that particular goddess. And I'm probably saying the name incorrectly, but it's spelled Eostre.
Yeah. My point is, like, if the holiday is religious to you, then that's why you're celebrating it. But most holidays are not. I don't know if we blame Hallmark for that or what, but no holiday to me that I celebrate has anything to do with religion. I could care less.
Valentine's Day doesn't, dude.
No.
Just
St. Patrick's Day, Thanksgiving. I don't care. None of it has anything to do with anything.
Wait. Well, I mean, St. Patrick's Day,
That's about getting shit-faced. Thanksgiving.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Food. Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
you can worship a bottle of booze.
Right. Yeah.
This is an interesting one because, well, we've all done it. The living together before marriage.
Oh,
yeah.
I think, dude, and I'm going to tell you, as an expert, all right, I've lived with a few women in my lifetime. I would never marry one that I didn't live with first, just to be honest with you. I mean,
I've said that so many times that not only is it stupid to marry somebody you've never lived with, but can you imagine marrying somebody you never had sex with? That is not a horny guy talking. I'm talking about the fact that sexual compatibility is a core element of a successful relationship. Could you imagine waiting until your wedding night to find out that she's a cold fish in bed and like, what did I just do? It's irresponsible to not explore these things before you get married, since that is supposed to be a lifelong commitment.
I just can't even imagine not being able to learn stupid stuff. Do you keep your bedroom messy? What side of the bed do you sleep on? Do you brush your teeth before you go to bed? Like, there's all kinds of things that I need to see. All right, do you pick up after yourself? Because after all, you're going to be a lifelong roommate. So I'm interviewing, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I don't think that's a good one that they're pushing. What about eating pork, Cousin Brewski? I mean, eating pork.
I'm all for it.
Yeah, me too. It's the other white meat, dude. I eat a ton of pork. Okay.
Oh yeah, go to a Chinese restaurant. There's so many choices. Holy crap!
That's true.
Some of these things are silly. What do you either of you know what the pork thing, or where the hell does that even come from?
So back in again, it goes back to the old days before there was refrigeration and freezers and things like that. There used to be a thing called trichinosis, which if you didn't cook pork enough, then you could actually contract that, which explains why growing up, my mother, whenever she cooked pork chops, completely cooked them till they were like rubber because of that. That's what they taught everybody. You had to overcook pork, but you don't have to.
This goes to my original theory of religion was formed because people in an unruly society were too dumb for their own good. You couldn't just tell them not to rape your wife or to eat all the food. You had to come up with some religious reason. So people were dying from eating tainted pork, so they put it in the Bible. Don't eat pork.
Don't eat pork. It's bad, dude.
Couldn't just tell you to cook it thoroughly. They have to say God will frown on you if you do it.
Or just smoke it to preserve it. You know what I mean?
How about drinking alcohol in moderation? Proverbs 21 warns against excessive drinking.
No, Jesus turned the water into wine. Did he just sip it responsibly?
Excess and moderation. That's what I always say.
Yes. Yeah, there's other passages that say it's okay to drink wine with a joyful heart. All right.
Yeah,
joyful
partying.
Dude. Come on. That's a party. That's a celebration, dude.
So there again, if you're partying and having fun with your wine, great. But if you're sitting home alone, just binge drinking, bad. Can't just teach you that. We got to put the fear of God into you.
Is it bad to be sitting in a dark room by yourself, depressed and drinking? Because, I mean, that's at least half my life.
Right. I've been enjoying that, quite frankly, these past several months.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that true, or are you being funny?
No. Well, I mean, right here next to me, within 4 feet, I've got 2 bottles of whiskey right here.
Yeah, but do you turn the lights down low and be depressed and drink?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean, it depends. This time of year, especially, is always gets kind of tough. But as we get more towards the spring and the summer, it kind of cuts back a little bit. But
that's seasonal depression. Yeah, right.
You know.
I get it. Brewski, be careful. I don't want you to be sad. That makes my heart hurt, dude. You know what, Brewski, what about women wearing pants? Are you for it or against it?
This is just getting stupid.
Everyone
knows I'm not in favor of women wearing pants. I prefer you pants off, quite frankly.
Right.
Exactly. I was going to say,
I'm glad
take
God
them
agrees.
off.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm doing this with my pants off.
Yeah, well, just take them off, dude. It's a problem. For crying out loud.
Uh-huh. Because I got a list that contrasts this as to why people may not actually be religious anymore. We've already pointed it out.
Let's go into it because the rest of these are all this kind of ridiculous thing. Women wearing pants, women having opinions, women voting. Like, these are on this list. Women.
Oh, wait a minute. I didn't know some of those are on there.
Women not making sandwiches. This list is crazy.
Well, back in the 50s and before, there was a duty by men to spank their wives, and not in a fun kind of way.
Yeah, no, as a form of punishment,
Yeah.
Damn right. So I have a list here of reasons why in this modern era people are no longer religious, and it all makes sense. I mean, not only the absurdity of some of these things we just ran through, but it's a modern society. Information's out there. Example I poke fun at all the time: scandals and broken trust. In these past decades, some of the things that have been going on in the church, I would assume for a millennia, are now actually, being put out in the news. People talk about, whether it's, financial corruption in a church, the pastor that's got the mega jet, but, is not giving anything to the poor, or Catholic priests molesting kids. I mean, there's been a lot of scandals that have come to light that back in the old day of a corrupt church and government would never have seen the light of day.
Oh, for sure. Pat Robertson's like a great example of some of the things that guy said. If you know who Pat Robertson is,
sure,
yeah,
evangelical preach guy.
Yeah, and now he's dead. But here, you want to hear what he sounded like? This is some of the things that he told you. Okay,
you've got a couple of same-sex guys kissing. You like that? Well, that makes me want to throw up. To me, I would punch vomit, not like. There isn't one single civilization that has survived that had openly embraced homosexuality. I'm talking about the cheating. He cheated on you. Well, he's a man. Okay. What is this mac and cheese? Is that a black thing?
It is a black thing, Pat.
I'm not sure I would serve pizzas for a gay wedding. Well, most gays, if they're having a wedding, don't want pizzas. They want cake. It's the cake makers that are having the problem. The gays are going to get it. They're going to make you conform to them. You're going to say you like anal sex, you like oral sex, you like bestiality, you like anything you can think of, whatever it is, and sooner or later you're going to have to conform your religious beliefs to the group of some aberrant thing. It won't stop at homosexuality.
No, it won't.
And then women are going to want the right to speak. I mean, it's the rabbit hole we go down.
Seems logical.
Right. So, scandals, that makes sense as to why some people now be religious. And then something else I was just kind of referencing, the free flow of information. Most people having a smartphone, internet access at their fingertips. It's easy to explore other religions or fact check some of this stuff or see that being gay is not bad. Like when you have access to information. So many conservatives hate colleges because they feel that they're liberal indoctrination, factories. I've always said, no, you're exposing kids to facts and then they start to rethink some of the garbage you've been teaching them.
Well, and the access to information is, that's crazy to think about, right? Because, other than, I think Bible is number 2 all-time book, of popularity.
50 Shades of Grey is number 1, Bible's number 2.
Number 1 is Art of the Deal, from what I heard, but by Donald Trump. But the Bible comes in a close second. And when's the last time you went into a hotel? You always find it right there in the nightstand. When people did not have access to information, this is the book, time and time again, that they had access to.
Yeah. And anytime I want to roll a joint in a hotel room, I go immediately for that Gideon's Bible.
Have you ever done it?
Absolutely. I just find it ironic,
You do know that friend of the program, Doug Stanhope, when he goes to hotels while he's on the road, he actually steals the Bibles and he autographs them and sells them at his merch table.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's nice. Huh.
And, on the topic of free flowing of information, do you ever wonder why, if you look back in history, every continent had their own kind of religion? Because back then you couldn't share the information. No one could communicate across. So, a landlocked people, they each came up with their own little religion.
Before Pangea, that is.
That's right. Yeah, we think about Pangea when we could walk wherever we wanted to go, Stephen.
Exactly. Next on this list, negative experiences with religion. Bad experiences, religious trauma have led people to question religion. And I don't think they're just talking about molestations. They're talking about everything we just ran through. Oh, I can't dance. I can't gamble. I can't drink. No. Veto.
There's been videos that have come out, in the last 5 years where you see like these priests baptizing a baby, and the baby's crying through the service, and the priest will smack the baby, to get it to shut up. Like you're starting to see. You didn't see that? I'll have to send you the video. I mean, this baby, is just crying too much for the priest, and he smacks him. There's all kinds of bad experiences that one can have with religion at church that are far above and beyond even molestation, dude. There's a lot of power control in church that gets abused constantly.
Well, let's think about bris.
What is it?
A bris, which is
someone's foreskin off.
Exactly. Circumcision. Yeah. I mean, think about it. I mean, the baby can't talk for himself. The parents bring the baby, and the mohel, snips the foreskin off. There are a lot of people that are non-Jewish that also participate in that. But again, I mean, now you're, even for religious purposes, you're pushing something onto a child that who knows if they want that or not.
I'm circumcised. I got my son circumcised. I'm not religious. I just don't want a woman to freak out when he whips his dick out for the first time.
Do you have a pouch, Brewski, or are you circumcised?
No. It's a crew neck, not a turtleneck.
I'm sorry. Were you not circumcised? Is that what you're saying?
No, I am. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what a crew neck is, like a t-shirt like this, as opposed to a turtleneck, which like bunches up and everything like that.
Yeah.
So turtleneck would be someone that's uncircumcised. Crew neck would be, circumcised.
Okay. Thank you for explaining that. I got lost. So
I never knew that. There was a woman I dated years ago who asked me one time, "So do you have a crew neck or a turtleneck?" And I was like, "I think I'm not wearing a turtleneck right now. No,
I prefer flannel.
No, dummy. That's not what I'm talking about." I had no clue.
Well, I've told you guys before that my dad used to walk around our house naked when I was a kid. Dude, my dad was uncircumcised. Okay.
Oh.
And I would always, me and my brothers would always say like, "Oh, put the anteater away. Please put the anteater away."
Yeah. It's a turn off in porn, I'll tell you that much.
It's more and more common.
Well, because so much porn comes from Europe and Russia and whatnot, where it's not as common of a practice over there.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah. I don't see that. Come on. I've talked before about that, a lot of people, you guys being on the list, you learned religion from your family. It was something that was introduced to you. And there's some comfort in the community of it that, you go to church, as all my friends and family, my teachers are here. Like, there's something comforting about that, correct?
Sure. Yeah, there's a community to it, a ritualistic, warmth and comfort.
Yeah. But one of the reasons people are less religious nowadays is because of the opposite, the rise of people being atheist or agnostic. Enough of us have come forward to say, like, you don't actually have to be religious, that other people have been like, oh, I didn't even realize that was really an option. Like, there's comfort in numbers. So the more atheists and agnostics there are, that group keeps growing. I think now atheists actually outnumber individual religious groups. If you add all the religions together, you guys still dwarf us. But if you look at just Catholics, Christians, Judaism, Muslim, the number of atheists actually outnumber in America anyways.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I was going to say, there are a lot of Muslims around the world.
Yeah. No, here in America. So that makes sense to me. Changing views on morality, like premarital sex is not that bad. Tattoos is not just for gangsters and Harley Davidsons and stuff. Like, as we've adjusted our views on morality, people start to question, like, well, then why would I be part of a club that admonishes these things?
Do you still see people with tattoos and look down on them, Steve?
No. No. I have a thing with women. Like, I used to always say, like, I just love the pure naked body. Like, why would you mess that up with, a tattoo? But in this day and age, finding a woman without a tattoo, that's the struggle. So,
Yeah.
Just get a good tattoo, please.
I was going to say, I will look down on somebody with bad tattoos.
I hate all the Disney Hanna-Barbera tattoos, stuff like that. I'm just like,
I'm talking about like crap ass, tribal tattoos, stuff like that,
Yeah.
You know what the best place to see bad tattoos is?
Where?
Poolside in Las Vegas. Holy
Oh.
crap, man. You can see some really bad tattoos there. And
There's all
it's just-
kinds of tribal and Japanese writing. I mean, you'll find it all.
Yeah, and it's this cheeseburger, and they think it means strength.
Yeah,
This is
right.
one of the reasons.
Right.
This is one of the reasons I've always been hesitant to get a tattoo, because I have seen that tattoo is an art form, and art often evolves over time. So yeah, now we laugh at people with tribal armbands or the tramp stamp above their butt crack. Like, I've always been afraid of getting some artwork that will not age well. Tattoos used to always be standalone things, just one little image. Now it's more common to have a whole, mosaic, collage of things, and where's it going to be in 10 years, 20 years?
That's why I try and just keep mine all to personal. Like I'm not going to go with any trends on for my tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I won't go with them. I just won't.
Do you have anything you regret, Brewski? A tattoo?
The shamrock on my left arm. The only thing I regretted about that was I let that butcher even go near my arm whatsoever. He turned my arm into hamburger. Now, fortunately, many years later, I had it fixed, and it looks a lot better now. But I will tell you, that guy turned my forearm into hamburger.
Yeah. I had a friend just out of high school. He was a big fan of the band Biohazard. You remember them, Brewski?
Yeah.
He got a
Evan
freaking
Seinfeld is a
Biohazard
singer.
tattoo. And I was like, you think that's going to age well? You think Biohazard's going to stand the test of time?
That really seems a little obvious that
Well-
that would have been a bad idea.
If it's just a biohazard symbol, though, I mean, that you might be able to. I mean, it kind of looks dangerous and that sort of thing.
Yeah. It could just symbolize that you have venereal diseases too. Like, I'm a biohazard, baby.
Punishment.
The next thing on the list of why some people aren't religion, LGBTQ inclusivity. So many of us have come to realize being gay is not a bad thing. It's not creepy. It's fine. So then you have a hard time accepting an organization that, for the most part, frowns on it.
In case anybody doesn't know, God calls it an abomination.
I don't think so. The Pope is even saying, he's had to come out and continue to defend him trying to bless same-sex marriages. People are still up in arms about it. So yeah, the religious communities, some of them don't want to get on board with it, but the tides are turning.
People that have never watched lesbian porn, clearly, it's a beautiful thing. Come on, people.
You see, lesbian porn doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Honestly, I haven't watched it in years, but I'm just saying, two women together. I mean, that's
but if there's a possibility that I could possibly be involved, okay, that's fine. But if it's actual two lesbians, they want absolutely nothing to do with me whatsoever. Nothing.
I've always wondered why, as a general rule, men will watch lesbian porn, two women together, but women don't watch gay porn with two guys together. Why don't they find double what they like?
There are some women that like it, but most women don't. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. What's that about? I don't get it.
I've heard women who don't like two men, they don't like it because that's not what, like, physically, that's what they like. They like a hard body and big penis and all that sort of thing. But the fact that they're male, but to them, they're not men, quote unquote, the way they think of men as being macho and all that sort of thing. So that's kind of why they've said they don't like it.
Interesting.
It's similar to a minority of women like going to male strip clubs, having a Chippendales dancer shake it in their face. Some women think that's awesome, but most women actually don't.
So right. That's so right, dude.
I will tell you this right now, as
Please.
someone who's been to strip clubs with their future females, and also I've been to an event that was put on a rock station I used to work for here in Boston that was called Thin Lizzie's Ladies Night. And it was like a Chippendales thing with like the dancers and everything.
Yeah.
I saw women at this event, not even this was actually at like a bar in Boston, not even like a place where they would normally have strippers. These women did things with these male strippers that men could only dream that they could have done with the female strippers.
Oh, yeah.
I
start blowing them and jerking them off. Like,
giving
full
them
on sex,
blowing them
sometimes,
and everything. Yeah, I'm blown away by how they acted. And there are some male strippers who do parties who, after a while, they're like, I had to stop doing it because those women are unhinged. They'll reach into your G-string and start like yanking on your dick and everything like that.
You're just a piece of meat, dude, at that point, right?
I knew a guy in this town that used to be a male stripper when he was younger, and he said, I could tell you tales of terrible things women did to me. Like, they become unhinged in this setting, a certain portion of them that are into that thing. This is a good point about should we all be treating the sexes equally? So if the women patrons are blowing the male dancer, why don't we get to fool around with the female strippers, right? I demand equality. I demand it.
Right.
Well, if you've ever been to a party where they have a female stripper that comes to a party, and I've been to bachelor parties with that.
Yeah.
Usually the security that accompanies those women would frown down upon that. and it doesn't matter how many guys are at that party.
Yeah.
When they see the security that comes with that woman, nobody's going to try anything because that dude would like wipe everybody out.
Yeah. Well, and that's what should happen.
The last thing on my list I'll throw out real quick as to why people aren't religious in this modern time: busy lifestyles. And really think about that. I mean, don't you have better things to do on your Sunday morning? Football, sitting around drinking coffee. Like, who's got the freaking time to dedicate to religious services anymore?
Well, you're under the assumption that it's a negative experience. I mean, from your perspective, it would be, but there's a lot of people who like to go and, you know what? It's almost like a therapy session where like sometimes you get done with therapy and think like, got a lot off my chest, got a lot off my head. Like, it was a good session. And some people look at going to church in that way.
Yes, but the numbers are dwindling, and all of these reasons are contributing. But yeah, I mean, Sunday morning, you really want to go to church? I don't know.
You don't. Some people do.
When was the last time either of you set foot in a Sunday morning church service?
Sunday morning?
Yeah.
Been a long time. Now, I will tell you that when I was a teenager, I started to go to mass on Saturday night at 4:00. Because you were in and out in a half hour. No singing, no crap, nothing like that at all. And I could sleep in on Sunday mornings.
So that bodes to what they're saying. Like, who's got time for all the singing and stuff? Like,
maybe pre-COVID, I went to church at least one day out of the month, one Sunday out of the month.
Really?
Yeah. And it was, my mom liked to go, so I would take her to church. She didn't have my dad to take her anymore, so I would take her.
Catholic guilt. I get it.
Just mommy love, dude.
Yeah,
mommy
exactly.
love. That's exactly what that was. There was no guilt involved. If I wouldn't have taken her, I would have had Catholic guilt.
Yeah, right. Well, that's what I'm saying. You're trying to avoid the guilt. So yeah. Well, this is interesting. I mean, religion's a fun topic. And I'll just reiterate again, those of you that have religion because it gives you something to believe in, it gives you some inner strength to draw from, it makes sense in bad times that God works in mysterious ways. Like, more power to you. That's great. Just don't wave it in my face. Don't use it to cast judgment on others and preach morality to gay people. Like, religion is a dick. It's fine if you have one. Just don't go waving it around out in public.
Thanks, Steve.
That's my 2 cents.
I think it's worth about
That's
$4.
what it's worth.
I think it's. I would give it at least a $4, dude.
All right. One of these days I'll reach a nickel. So
you will. Didn't Steve used to spout off religious opinions, and this old lady was listening to him and debating with him back and forth one day, and Steve went off on this like 5-minute rant and never took a breath, by the way. And she was like, "Who put a quarter in you?" Like, how do I stop this?
Yes. I went on my famous rant of, if there's a God, he's not the president of some insider's club. He's not short on money. He doesn't need you to show up at his house and worship him. And yeah, this old lady was like, who put a quarter in you?
All right, fellers. Well, that'll do it. Another episode of The Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. Brewski. Please see us on our webpage. What is it?
TheVocalMinority.net.
That's right.
We were offered the Vocal.kids today. What the hell is that from GoDaddy? I got that email. The Vocal.kids?
No, are you making that up?
No, I'm not making it up.
You swear to God?
I'll pull up the email and show it to you.
Like, that's like a pedophilia thing, dude.
Right. Why would you want .kids as your domain? Like,
are you a sex offender?
No. Keep your website, dude.
If that's your website, yes. Right. Find us online, thevocalminority.net, and any of the social medias, pedophile free.
Thank you, and good night. Brewski, please, if you will.
Goodbye, Brewski.
And we say bye-bye.
Test 1 2, test 1 2.
Stop.